Hey everybody, as you can see, this is something about a certain type of treatment. Now, you know my thoughts about this particular process. The American authorities are actually asking the same questions from infection control. So they've got a lady to give her little speech about it. We can play the video in a minute, but basically, to cut a long story short, they're saying that they're researchers and doctors and scientists, and as far as they're aware, however, with ongoing discussions and examinations of the messenger mRNA technology. However, both the public and healthcare workers still have questions, so it's good to see that some of them are still querying it. And what are they querying when they are so confident? Basically, they're saying there are several more mRNA vaccines in development, including one for HIV, influenza, respiratory syncytial virus, RSV, Zika virus, Camello-Collanges virus, and cancer. Well, the cancer ones we know don't work. They've had to cancel many of the trials on that because they were not effective. They didn't say if people got sick or if people went into remission. They just found that they were not as effective as they hoped. So I will leave it at that. Others are for vaccines for individuals who have severe allergies, dust mites, peanut allergies, heart attack and stroke, genetic diseases and neurodevelopmental disorders. So basically anything that they say, we don't know where it comes from, we don't know what causes it, we can come up with a vaccine to save you and to protect you. Sorry, that's just Charlie's Bell. So they're saying here, talking about how it all works, which is all ridgy-dig. I've got no complaints with anything about that. In theory, it all sounds amazing. It really does. It sounds absolutely fantastic. But, where they are querying here is the long-term effects. And they mention this. Although the mRNA technology has been studied since the 1990s, some individuals still have concern about its efficacy and safety. Speaking with Infection Controls today, Ambassador Deborah Birx, MD, a senior fellow at the George W. Bush, that tells me straight away that it's dodgy, I'm sorry, Institute in Dallas, addresses the questions of long-term safety of those vaccine technology. There you go, it's right there. It's not a theory, it is not propaganda, that is a legitimate question. And she says, across the world, billions of people have been immunised, she said. As we know, mRNA acute safety profile. So we can definitively say that the mRNA technology that has been utilised to express the spike protein is very safe in the first 4 years. Did you hear that? They're saying it's safe in the first 4 years. When you think about the people that died suddenly and all the people that suddenly have got unwell or have got stage 4 cancer within a month of being diagnosed, people that are having all these horrible conditions and all the adverse events. So is it really so safe in the first 4 years? It's very safe, they're saying here, very safe in the first 4 years. What people may have questions about is we know definitely that it's safe 2 decades from now, 3 decades from now. Do we know definitively that it's safe 2 decades from now, 3 decades from now? The database is smaller because it hasn't. They've talked earlier in the program or in the article that they've been using this technology since the 1990s. So they would have the 30 years study if it had been effective, if it had worked. Then they would have this data. They're saying here the database is so small that they can't provide that. So we still have to plod along. Remember when they brought out and they said, well, is it going to be safe for children? Oh, well, we don't know. We haven't tested it on children, so let's try it and see what happens. No, you don't do that to your children and you don't do that to your population. Especially when they say here, the theory goes back into it, that they've been using it since the 1990s. There we go. See that there? So they're using words to confuse people. Yeah, since it has been studied in the early 1990s, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So what else did it say here? I went too far. So is it going to be safe 2 decades from now, 3 decades from now? The database is smaller. It's really limited to people who may have gotten the Ebola vaccine, and that's definite, probably a decade out. So what are we talking about? 2 decades, so we've got to wait another 10 years to find out if it's effective. Till then, we just keep pushing it into people's bodies. You know, it doesn't make sense. But anyway, I know the FDA is committed to make sure that they're studying the long-term consequences of this particular vaccine. It's not a vaccine that we're querying. It is the treatment. It is the actual process. And I wish that they would say that, because they're making everybody seem anti-vaxxers. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I think vaccines are friggin' amazing. The old school vaccines are amazing. And I would take those to protect myself and protect my family and protect the community. But when it comes to the mRNA technology, that has not been around long enough. And we don't know the consequences, as they've said. And that for them to turn around, that, wow, it's okay. If we don't see anything concerning in the first 4 years of delivery, wow, but again, it gets back to the point of being very clear as to who can benefit from a vaccine, particularly this vaccine. Can you read that? Look at this. So that tells me that they have doubts. They're saying, hey, it's been 4 years in, and it's been pretty safe and effective in stopping people from severe disease and illness and death and hospitalisation and all those things. Which, I agree. But there have been a lot of things that were not disclosed to people, and they are the adverse reactions. Everybody's body is different. I used to be able to use costume jewellery. And for example, I used to be able to use costume jewellery when I was younger. When I went through puberty, my body changed. My internal mechanism changed. And now I'm allergic to nickel. I can't use any costume jewellery. I have to be careful about any metal that touches my body. I get welts. And they weep and they get very, very itchy. And, it's quite annoying. And that happened to me. No one else in my family has that. I've got 2 sisters. Neither of them have that condition. It's specific to me. And that's where this treatment, these mRNA technology needs to be. They're talking about making it customizable for each person's cancer. I don't think that can happen because, your body changes over time. I've proven that to myself. Other people that never had diabetes all of a sudden have diabetes. These things that happen to people. Everybody's body is different, and you can't throw one rule or one group of things and expect it to have the same standard results for everybody, because it's not going to happen. But anyway, that's why we, ding, 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 scientists and the CDC, ching, 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 should be putting out very clearly who should be immunised and the frequency of which these people should be immunised. So that to me sounds like they have a lot of concerns. They're trying to cover all their bases. They're going to, because once again, it's that cosmic law that comes out with the karmic law of the world. They have to tell you what they're doing. If you don't recognise it, highlight anything to it, they take your your compliance or your silence as consent. So you're not putting up a stance. You're not having a hissy fit. You're not saying no. You're not objecting to it. You're allowing it through your acquiescence and your laziness and your fear of any reprisals to give a silent yes. And that's how the cosmic works. So they've got to put all this here. Why do you think they all go up there and they tell you all this stuff? They have to. It's the cosmic law. They have to tell you. As long as it's in print somewhere, they've done their job. They've told you. You've got to go and do your research and find it, and then make your own judgment on things. But anyway, I'm ranting and raving on. I will add this to this video. Look after yourselves, please. And it's Friday here now, so have a fantastic weekend and Godspeed. Godspeed to all. Godspeed. Bye.
I hope and believe that judgment will never be passed on a person solely on the basis of genetic information.